What's up, party people? G-Fire Productions in a place to be. Superman First Class in the mix. Today we're going to talk about the Yamaha MG10XU and how to use it in Zoom. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm excited once again to share with you guys, so make sure that you smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and of course turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of these cool videos we're putting out. I wanted to talk to you guys today though about the Yamaha MG10XU mixer. It's an excellent mixer. It has so many functions. I didn't even know what I had, especially in the midst of the pandemic when everybody was scrambling for things to stream through like DJ controllers, iRigs, or whatever they could find, digital mixers. Well, I've had this baby for a long time, and look at here on the back of it, there's a USB connection. So you can put this into your computer and your software can then recognize this as a microphone input or an audio source. So first thing we're going to do is do all the physical connections, get gain structure on this mixer, and then we're going to go through the Zoom settings and put everything together, and I'm going to give you guys a real live example of how to Zoom with this mixer. So it's awesome. I've already done it before, but I'm going to show you guys how we rock it. Let's get it. All right, everybody, so with this setup today, we have a microphone stand that we're going to place right on the desk, so there it is. And for the microphone itself, I have the Shure QLX-D system right there with a handheld microphone, and of course we'll be plugging that in with this power cable, and we got an audio cable to get signal over to the mixer. Now the main attraction here to control and get the audio into Zoom in the first place is going to be the Yamaha MG10XU. You can see the model number right there. And we have this USB cable that we're going to plug into the back of the mixer. And we also have an adapter that goes USB 3.0 female to USB-C so that I could get this signal from the mixer into my MacBook. To facilitate the broadcast, I have pre-selected some music on DJ2 on this iPad here. I also have an audio cable here that I'm going to be sending audio from the iPad into the mixer as well as the mic. So let's get everything all set up. All right, everybody, here we go. The desktop is all set up and adjusted where I want things, and we're going to talk about all of the physical connections. So let's get right into it. The microphone stand was adjusted so that the boom is not too much in the way of my face or the microphone is covering too much, right? So it's kind of at an angle, but definitely pointed towards my mouth, so when I speak, you'll get good audio. And it's about 6 inches or so away from my face, so I may move a little bit here and there, but generally I'll be in this position with this mic. And if I need to make a brief adjustment, then it's too easy to just move the boom arm right there. And the microphone is synced to the receiver already, so no problems right there. And for power, I had to do the safety loop on a receiver so things don't accidentally become unplugged, but the other end of it is plugged down there into a power strip. For audio, I just simply use an XLR cable to come out of the receiver and into microphone number 1 on the mixer. So the mixer is turned off, the EQs are flat, all the volumes are turned down, gain structures are down, everything is pretty much flat. So we're going to do all of that gain structure thing from scratch just to show you guys how to get it right here first, and then we're going to put it into Zoom. But the mixer does have a power cord, so it's plugged in and secured with the nut that comes attached to that end of the power cable. And of course, the opposite end of it is plugged down there into a power strip. To get the audio from the mixer into Zoom, that's going to happen through a USB cable. So we simply hooked up the USB cable right into the back. And because I have a new MacBook with only USB-C inputs, I had to use a regular USB adapter to connect to it and then USB-C into the MacBook. As far as getting some music into the mix, I have an iPad mini with DJ2. It's an app that allows me to play music. Out of the headphone port, I have a mini jack in there, or 3.5 millimeter TRS. And the other end of that cable is basically a left and right RCA cable. And if I needed to go into the 1/4-inch jacks on this mixer, I have other options with adapters and stuff. But since the mixer can take that cable as is, no need to put the extra connections there. Before we fire up Zoom and go through all the settings, there is something else that I need to address, and that is a monitor source, because As it stands right now, I have no way of hearing what is in the mixer, so I did grab a pair of headphones and put them in the mix. These are the DT770 Pros, and all I did was plug it right there into the mixer where it says phones. So now let's go ahead and get our gain structure with the music versus the microphone on this mixer. So first we're going to fire up the mixer. Everything's turned on, so for this part I'm going to go ahead and get my gain structure all set up. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get the gain structure all set up. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn up my headphone volumes to about the 9 o'clock position right here. That way I don't blow my eardrums out if it's too loud when I'm doing gain or something like that. That's a comfortable place for me to start. And what I'm going to do with the master volume actually is I'm going to turn it over to the 3 o'clock position. Now there's a triangle mark right there, and then there's some marks around it. So I'm going to knock it off like 2 more notches right there. And that's where I'm going to start with that. And now on the channel volume for the microphone, I'm going to turn it over to the 3 o'clock position, and I'm going to line it up with the triangle that's right there. Now everything else, I'm going to leave it all flat. So we have panning set to the middle, left and right, right up the middle. And the effects are turned off. That would be on if we were using it. And then the lows, mids, highs on the EQ, those are all set to flat, so they're straight up, you know. And then of course the compression knobs are turned off. I'm going to talk about that after I get my gain structure set up. And this knob right here is for the gain. Now I want to bring something to your attention, that before we mess with the gain knob, you do have a couple of switches right here. This is a 26 dB pad switch. So if I were to press that, it will lower this overall channel volume by 26 decibels wherever it's at. So I'm not going to press that, but what I will press is the high pass filter button. And what that's going to do is it's going to decrease anything from 80 hertz and below in the EQ. It's going to basically not allow that to come through the channel. So your mic will sound a little bit more clear through the mix and not so boomy. So now let's go ahead and get our gain structure set up, and I want you to pay attention to a couple of things. So this is the gain knob, and we're going to turn it up in very small increments, and we're going to also pay attention to the meter as I'm talking on this microphone so that we get it to around 0 dB generally when I'm talking. So I'm not going to do anything special like get all on the mic. I'm really just going to sit right here where I would normally vlog at distance-wise from the mic, and I'm just going to start turning up the gain. And in my headphones, I do hear myself. So my overall goal is I'm going to get it to 0 dB, and of course it might go a little bit over. So don't sweat it if it goes into the yellow a little bit. But what you don't want to see is a bunch of red, because red is straight up distorted and it's going to sound absolutely terrible. So now that I'm comfortable with that volume right there, now I'm going to talk about the compression knob. Talking on the microphone, if I get really close like that, then it gets really boomy. But if I were to say back up off the microphone right here, it's going to sound a little bit distant and a little bit hollow. And a good example of that is, here's my lapel mic. So right here, you can hear my voice on camera, you know, like it is. But if I were to say move away from the lapel mic, it does make a difference in what you're hearing now, because now that the lapel microphone is a little bit further away from my mouth, it just sounds different. So let's put it back. So what you don't hear and what's in my headphones now, I'm going to slowly turn up the compression knob here, and that way I get a good signal. If I'm really close, it tends to bring the highs down a little bit. When I say highs, I mean the peaks in my voice, especially if I get a little bit excited and go, yeah, man, I'm pumped up, right? If I do that with this off, it's going to sound like when I whisper, it's going to be quiet. But when I raise my voice, it's going to be louder. So compression kind of helps with that, okay? So that way, when I'm moving about a little bit and I'm getting excited, my vocals should generally sound about the same. And even if I get a little bit excited, then that compression is going to help bring everything down. So it's different on the lapel mic, but you're going to hear it in Zoom for sure. So I'm satisfied with that. Maybe a little bit more gain right here. But other than that, I feel comfortable with the volume, especially at a good speaking voice level. So now it's time to get the music into the mixer as well. And to give you a little bit of backdrop, I'm using an app called DJ2. and it's set up in auto mix mode. So basically when one song ends, about 10 seconds before it completely stops, the other song is going to play, and it just goes back and forth like that. So I'm going to hit play here, and now I have some music going in the background, and it's on channel 5 and 6 here. Now the mixer, even though it's advertised as a 10-channel mixer, I really call this a 7-channel mixer, because here's how it works. Channels 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5/6, 7/8, 9/10. So I'm not sure how they're justifying calling this a 10-channel mixer. Other than that, it's a really good mixer. The iPad on channel 5 and 6 does not have a gain knob, so it's basically set up as a stereo channel to take in instruments or things like iPads, keyboards, or something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this up until I hear music in my headphones. And also, I'm going to turn this up to the point where when the music is playing, no matter what, I want my voice always above this music, right? And so the cool thing about this mixer, when you are vlogging or if you're doing a podcast, you could just have whatever music you want just kind of always playing. And when you're ready to kick that music into your podcast or your wait music or whatever, you could just turn it up as you want to. And then also you can simply turn it down when it's over with. I'm satisfied that what I'm hearing in my headphones is just phenomenal. It sounds great to me. And so the next thing we have to do now is fire up Zoom, make Zoom recognize this mixer, and send audio to it. Let's get it. We're going to go ahead and open up Zoom. But before we do that, we're going to open up the settings of the computer. Now, I don't know how it works on PCs. I'm using a Mac. So I opened up the settings on the Mac, and we're going to go to the sound tab. Now, on the sound tab, you can see I got two things going on for the input, right? That is the MacBook microphone, meaning if I simply snap in front of the computer, I'm going to get some audio. But if I pick the MG10XU as my audio source, well, things change. And to test that theory, I'm going to take the master volume and turn it down. And as you can see on the screen, that the volume was in fact affected because I literally turned the volume down here on the mixer. So as I turn the mixer up back to where I had it on the 3 o'clock position there, you could see the MacBook is recognizing my audio source, and also here it is recognizing the MG10XU as the microphone source. Now let's go for output, right? Because that's important too. Now for output, right now it is set to output on the speakers on the MacBook. If you were having an actual Zoom conference with, say, other guests, you could use the MacBook as your speaker source, or you could use the MG10XU as your speaker source. But if you do that, you'd have to be wearing headphones. So as people are talking to you, you can hear them through the headphones. And when you talk to them through the mic, they will hear you through whatever. So most people are probably just Zooming with their phones, so they're talking through their phone mic and they're also hearing you through their phone speaker. So it probably wouldn't be too bad, but since we're going to like a more elaborate setup, I would suggest using your output as the MG10XU. So that way you are wearing headphones, anybody talking, it's quiet, only you can hear them, especially if you're at your house and other family members have the potential to be around. So it's like you can talk through the mic and hear what they're saying, and they're just watching you with your headphones on pretty much. Let's go ahead and close this and open up our Zoom platform and start a new meeting. Now, one thing I like to do is once I have this meeting box right here started, I will just close the one I initially started with. Now that we have Zoom opened up, let's go into the settings. And the way that you do that is you generally just go up here to where it says zoom.us and go to the preferences. Go to the general tab, and just so you guys can see what I have checked off here that works for my setup. So I have this box checked and this one, and that's it. Everything else is unchecked. And things you could do here depending on how you want to set this up. If you're chatting in Zoom, you can do these accolades right here. So I picked that one based on my skin tone or close enough to it. And then here is the video settings. Now I want you guys to take a close look at this, because right now this is using the FaceTime HD camera. However, If I were hooking up one of my other cameras like the GoPro or my Canon right here, then it would definitely recognize the Canon camera as a video source, right? So no other cameras are hooked up to this computer right now but the Retina camera. So if I were doing my Zoom meeting, that would be my camera source, or unless again I hooked up my Canon camera to this. But these are all the things that are checked: enable HD, touch up my appearance, don't mirror my video. What else? Always display participant name on their videos. Always show video preview and dialogue when joining. And then display up to 49 participants per screen. So these are my video settings, things that work, and I would recommend that for you. And then of course here is the audio settings, right? So this is the most important, right? You got to make sure that it's recognizing the MG10XU as your audio source, so because you can have it recognize your MacBook as your audio source. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and test the speaker. So you can see here I have some kind of tone going, and then the speaker test usually goes off, right? So what it's doing is it's sending a signal back from the MacBook into the mixer so that I can hear it through my headphones. And to test the mic, we don't really need to do that, but you can see as I'm talking, especially on this microphone here, I'm getting signal. So if I turn my microphone signal down right there, then you can see it goes away in Zoom. So put this back to the 3 o'clock position here, and then of course it shows back up and appears again into Zoom. So where it says automatically adjust microphone volume, make sure that this is unchecked, because Zoom will try to adjust your mic settings and it's just going to sound weird in all of your meetings. And here are the other settings to check, only these two right here, and go into the advanced tab. Now in the advanced tab, we're going to make sure that we show meeting option, enable original sound from microphone. Make sure that's checked. And then these two right here, when you first open up Zoom for the very first time, these will probably say auto, but I'm gonna make sure that that's disabled, and so is this one. And echo cancellation, you can leave that to auto, right? And then of course, the last thing you need to do here is on this screen is turn on original sound. So you want that turned on, and that just really makes it sounds a little bit better. So let's go ahead into the headphones right here and take a quick listen. And of course I can hear myself because I'm going directly into there, but if I were to go back to Zoom and preferences, then I see my microphone's audio right there. So no problems. All right, party people, so check it out. As it is set up right now, what you could do is you could just get on Zoom and record yourself. And if you're not having anybody else in the meeting but yourself, you could use Zoom to actually record your audio from the mixer, any music you want to put in. And you can use that as a video to edit later or post it to social media, right? So the next thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to use my phone to log into the same meeting, so it looks like two different people are on it, and then I'm going to record that so you guys get to hear what it sounds like if someone were to talk back. So it would be like you talking through this microphone and hearing yourself through your headphones, but directly from the mixer. Now what we need to verify is if someone else was in a meeting, their audio is actually coming through your computer and back into these headphones, so you too can have dialect. Okay, so now that I've admitted myself into the meeting, you see two versions of me. The first version that you guys see is directly from the Retina camera right here, and the other version is from the phone camera, which is here. So I wanted to show you something though. If you don't want to look at that particular view, what you can do is click on what's called gallery view right here. Now in gallery view, it will put all of the participants in your meeting like that, side by side. If it was 3, then 3. If it was 49, then it'd be a bunch of little squares all over the place, and we'd all look like the Brady Bunch. Another thing you may notice is that this green line is switching back and forth from one window to the other. That's all based on which microphone you're talking to. So now let's do a test of, does my phone allow me to talk into these headphones? Testing 1 2 3 4. Testing 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. All right, everybody. So what you guys are looking at right now is me, Gerald Reddick, is in that window, have admitted my cell phone. So Gerald Reddick window is the Retina camera right on my computer, and the phone is right here. So with me waving my fingers. Now, as you see the green box going back and forth, that's because it's a matter of what Zoom thinks is the dominant audio, and it highlights who's the speaker, the dominant speaker at that moment. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get closer to the microphone, which now the box is labeled highlighted Gerald Reddick, because this is me looking at my Retina camera right there and talking on this mic. So Zoom thinks this is the dominant mic. Now as I get a little bit closer to my phone right here, then you can see obviously that that box is lit up or highlighted green, because Zoom thinks now this is the more dominant microphone. So if I sit straight up, I'm just kind of like in the middle between both, and it's just like going back and forth. Zoom doesn't know what to do with that. But if this phone was like in another room or another house, then it wouldn't even be an issue, right? Another thing I want to show you though is there is something that you definitely have to do to make sure that the computer's audio get back to this mixer. And most people stumble on this part because as of right now, even though I can speak into this cell phone, there's no audio coming through the cell phone through Zoom into this mixer. So I essentially couldn't hear other people right now if they were in this meeting. So I'm going to show you guys the setting on the mixer that you have to use to correct that. Okay, everybody, real quick, I need to talk about how to get the audio from Zoom back into this mixer so you can hear it in your headphones, because as it stands right now, you won't be able to hear anything. Although you have all your gain structures all set and everything's good, you really just won't be able to hear any audio from Zoom, and you'll be beating your head all night. I want you to pay attention to this switch right here. It says line/USB, and in the up position, this channel on this mixer is basically set to receive signal through these lines, right? Like an analog signal. And so you're not confused, I'm actually going to turn the microphone down right here on channel 1. So there's absolutely no other signal coming through there. However, I'm in a meeting on Zoom with my computer and my cell phone. And although I am literally talking into my cell phone, you guys are not seeing any signal right here on this mixer. So what needs to take place is just simply press this in the down position where it is USB, and of course adjust your volume accordingly. So now when I talk on my cell phone, it goes wirelessly to Zoom, and then Zoom sends the audio back to the mixer so that I can hear it in my headphones. So check it out. You hear that? 1 2 1 2, and it's delayed. 1 2 1 2. All right.